There's no weapon I can't handle, but a sword does feel best. There's no better teacher than fighting in a real battle, don't you think?
General Holst was mentioned a lot in 3 Houses for the Golden Deer route, but we never did get to see him in the flesh. In 3 Hopes though, Hilda's brother and the greatest warrior of Leicester gets his time to shine, and he's now playable in Fae. Most people were a bit surprised Holst was a sword master in 3 Hopes, but there's no hero class, which he definitely would fit in. Sword infantry is a very competitive class in Fae as a whole, so how does Holst stack up? For stats, he's going to come with 42 HP, 43 attack, 41 speed, 35 defense, and 26 res. He will have speed and res super boons, and both of those would help balance out his stats further. 43 attack is pretty dang high, tied first in class, and Holst basically has the same stats as Melchez from the banner. He is also kind of just a better version of Galzus, who is 5-star only. For the most part, Holst is going to be a solid merge project if you're looking for a faster sword unit who doesn't have any super lopsided stats. Continuing the very good year of Grand Hero Battle units, Holst will also come with a unique weapon, the Warrior's Sword. This thing has 16 might, grants +3 attack, and at start of combat, if Holst has more than 25% HP, he gets +5 to all stats, bonus doubler, and guard on the enemy. Extremely simple weapon with an easy activation condition, but Holst will be able to grab a lot of stats potentially. For example, if he had +6 field buffs to all 4 stats, that's going to turn into +12, and then you get the base +5 boost as well. That's not bad at all, considering his base stats are also pretty good. Unfortunately, bonus doubler is a little risky as it's hard countered by any buff neutralization effects. Lull skills will knock out 2 of Holst's buffs, and if the enemy neutralizes all of them, then bonus doubler and those field buffs are worthless. As for guard, it's a fine extra perk to have. Personally, it's starting to feel like guard is not cutting it if you want to tank pure offensive units. No guard is showing up quite frequently. Regardless, the guard effect is still good to have. One positive is that it's still pretty effective when on the offensive yourself. For example, if you attack into a tank, guard can counteract their special cooldown skills like steady breath. Holst won't take a bonfire to the face, at least immediately. Overall, Warrior's Sword is not too crazy, but +5 to all stats, bonus doubler, and guard are all pretty decent for a free-to-play unit. We can definitely work with that. For his base kit, Holst comes with Blazing Light as his special. He does have high base attack, boosted further by Warrior's Sword, but it's not like AoE specials are key to his kit or anything. For his A skill, he's going to come with attack and speed ideal 3, which is nice for the non-positioning warriors. If Holst gets hurt, you can activate its secondary condition with field buffs thanks to attack and speed Oath 3. These 2 skills grant +10 attack and speed, and the Oath buff gets doubled thanks to bonus doubler. In total, with Warrior Sword, you get +5 attack and speed to field buffs, and then +15 attack and speed in combat, +20 to both. That's pretty good coming from a Heroic Grail base kit. In addition, Attack and Speed Oath and Ideal both have their tier 4 versions on the recent banner. If you don't use Holst, he's pretty valuable fodder. Attack and Speed Oath 3 especially is really nice to have more of. If you do plan to merge Holst, then the neutral nature will give him +1 HP, attack, and speed. That's perfectly fine to keep. However, if you spend trade fruits, he's going to have that speed super boon. You could also go with a res super boon if you want a more bulky build. Either one is good, or take both with Ascended Hilda's Ascended Florette. In comparison to other Heroic Grail sword infantry, there actually aren't that many, especially in recent times. In the last 2 years, we only had Yen Fei and Nemesis, but Nemesis is very slow, so basically we're looking at Yen Fei and his very fun Carnage Amatsu. After a horrific year of Book 5 Grand Hero Battle units, Yen Fei was the start of a still ongoing redemption arc for the actually decent year of Grand Hero battles. Not necessarily OP, but in the past year we've got a lot more unique weapons, solid stats, and just generally more interesting units. We're not in Book 7 just yet, but we are in Gen 7 BST. Holst is looking like he may be Yen Fei's successor in that if you want to merge a fun, speedy sword infantry unit. I wouldn't say he's going to be OP, but his stats are very workable, and Warrior's Sword is alright. It's not as exciting as Distant Counter plus Dodge, but Holst can stack a ton of stats with bonus doubler and the +5 stat boost. Not exactly a one-to-one comparison, but I do feel like Holst is sort of like a more modern day version of Astrum. Astrum had a good balance of stats, and his Macarius gives extra stats and buffs allies. Holst isn't buffing allies, but he can stack stats on top of a good base, if you get what I mean. You didn't have a lot of build freedom being an infantry unit. Funny enough, because of the Arcane Inheritance mechanic allowing us to take Rearmed Lif's new sword, Suddenly, all of these units have a new best in slot potentially. Like I've been saying, things are going to be wild the more rearmed heroes get released. If you aren't happy with an older unit's refine or any of the inheritable choices, Lif's Arcane Sword might just be the clear best answer. As an example, as an owner of a plus 10 Joshua, I would probably throw Adhuma in the trash if I had Lif's Sword. I would still get accelerated specials and guard, but then Joshua would get a free follow-up with follow-up denial, and I can basically regain the lost stats because you can stat refine Lif's Sword. From now on, pretty much everyone should be keeping an eye on any new rearmed heroes coming out. Let's get back on track. While we got 3 recent sword demotes after a long time drought, Holst is very much going to stay competitive. In terms of speed, Gi and Kamui are pretty quick, but Holst also has a good amount of extra attack to work with. As for Skahak, he's still the defense stacking king, and like we mentioned, he actually may be one of the best benefactors of Lif's Arcane Sword. You would get a follow-up attack deals, guard, and you could stat refine it for extra defense or res to become even tankier. I feel like we kinda just got baited hard the entire past year with all these new inheritable swords, and then suddenly Lif's Sword is just way better than most of those options. In terms of builds and playstyle for Holst, you really just want to stack stats on stats. Attack Speed Oath gave us attack and speed field buffs, which then get doubled from Warrior's Sword, so it wouldn't hurt to get defensive res buffs as well. Holst could do the job himself with something like defensive res Link, but obviously you can also just bring a buffing ally. We don't have it just yet, but this could be a use case for an Oath Sacred Seal, preferably defensive res Oath when it happens, but you could also just slot them in if you place the C skill. However, you will get more stats by buffing Holst in other ways and then stacking the bonus W Sacred Seal. Bonus W effects do stack, so you could even run the A skill version and get the bonus W status from units like Legendary Éljúðnir or Astrid. That is a crap ton of stats, especially if you're fully buffed up, but all of that goes to waste if those buffs get neutralized. It's fun and can be quite strong, but there's a clear weakness as well. For example, if you took attack and speed solo instead as your seal, you at least get some stats. Holst's base kit is pretty decent, but you could swap some things around if you really want. So Sparrow, Forms, or Bonds can be used in the A slot or Sacred Seal slot. Desperation can be used, but you do need to stay above 25% HP, so wouldn't recommend Fury builds. Wrath can also be used for some extra burst and special charging. If you want more cooldown reduction, heavier flashing blade, and the Breath Sacred Seals are available to use. For specials, Blazing Light is fun, but you can also just run Bonfire, Luna, Moonbow, or Glimmer. If you want to go for premium skills, both Attack Speed Ideal and Oath have their tier 4 versions from Monica and Male Shez respectively. Very expensive upgrades, but you could get some other skills like Speed and Defense Bulwark from Shez. If you do stick with the Ideal and Oath combo, which is much stronger at their tier 4 versions, then no follow-up is sort of just the best journalist skill. You completely stop slower units from doubling, and it lets Holst double into them. Remember, Warrior's Sword has guards, so you can get a decently safe player phase by preventing a big special counterattack. No follow-up is great, but you can also just run dodge skills. Velocity is the new one, but Spurn works as well. You could use Speed Smoke 4 for mixed phase dodge, or Attack Smoke 4 to stop free doubles if you don't run no follow-up. Since Warrior's Sword does have an HP condition, Surge Sparrow can help get back some max percent HP. However, Holst probably will want some other cooldown skills. Heavy Blade, Times Pulse, Special Spiral, you got a lot of choices. If you want to play defensively, Holst can run Distant Counter, Bulwark would be interesting, and Steady Breath can get the special spam going. For obvious reasons, you do want to be buffing Holst as much as possible, so Menace skills are an alternative, but personally I do think the new Oath 4s are just super easy to make work. If you're worried about Panic, Rouse 4 buffs are an option. Now for specials, you could run Vital Astra, even if the dodge portion will be hard to activate. Ruptured Skyworks 2 and Aether or Ignis can be used if you're planning a more bulky build. However, that brings me to my last topic, and that is Lif's Arcane Sword. Despite having a unique sword, it may still be worth using Lif's weapon. That's just how powerful it is. For a more defensive build, you lose bonus doubler and the speed boost, but Lif's Sword provides Omni Breaker and Accelerated specials that opens up a whole lot more options. For example, you can run Times Pulse plus Vital Astra, you can get instant bonfire counterattacks with Steady Breath, you essentially have no follow-up against slower units, and Holst is decently fast by default. It is really incredible that Holst's unique weapon is potentially already outdone on release by a quote-unquote inheritable weapon. Bonus Delivery is fun, but Omnibreaker and Accelerated Specials are just a very versatile skill set. So, should you promote Holst to 5 stars? I think he's going to be a very solid free-to-play unit. His attack and speed are both very good, and his defenses aren't super bad or anything. You can make his Res Super Boon work for a bulkier build. As for his kit, Warrior's Sword is actually decent, plus 5 tall stats, bonus doubler, and guard are not bad at all. Holst can stack a ton of stats, especially when fully buffed up, so if you cannot negate his buffs, then you kind of have to watch out for that. For his passives, Attack and Speed Ideal 3 and O3 are both good fodder. We have Ideal 3 in the demo pool, but O3 is incredibly valuable now that the tier 4 skills are just top tier. Overall, I do feel like Holst will be a somewhat popular merge project. He's extremely flexible in terms of build options, and his stats are solid compared to his competition. Holst also comes with his own weapon to stand out a bit more, and Warrior's Sword can also work with a variety of builds since it's really just stacking stats on stats. With how many 5-star sword masters we get and will continue to get, I wouldn't say Holst is going to completely outdo them. He is still a heroic rail unit, but that does mean you can plus 10 him eventually. With that said, Holst and basically every other sword unit just got access to what is essentially a 5-star worthy weapon. Rearmed Lif's Arcane Sword is just too good. It's not going to break the game, but it just has so many effects tacked on compared to a regular inheritable or even Holst's unique sword. It opens up more build options, and the fact you can stat refine it as well is just insane. That's another 5 HP, and you can get more speed if you want. I don't know, man. Basically, every single build video from here on out has to consider these arcane weapons now. My only hope is that with this arcane inheritance madness going on, the devs are planning to revamp the weapon refinery or something. Let's end this video before I ramble on. I think you guys got the point. Holst is a solid free unit, and if you're looking to build a sword infantry with heroic grails, then he might just be the best option for a while. Let me know your thoughts on Holst, and are you planning to hand him Lif's new shiny sword? My Hero Girl project temptations continue to grow. I still need to build my Summer Seth, man, but now I'm scared because what if there's a new busted arcane axe? Oh boy. Thank you for watching. See you guys in the next video.